The year was 2137. Earth was calm, almost too calm. Cities glowed under clean skies. Machines worked without humans, and peace felt permanent. But in the silence of space, something old and hungry was already moving. At first, people saw strange lights beyond the moon. Scientists said it was space debris. Astronomers said it was a reflection. But the truth was darker. Those lights were not reflections. They were ships. Huge, metallic, and alive. On a quiet night over the Pacific, the sky split open. A burning red line tore across the heavens, followed by dozens of dark shapes. They entered Earth's atmosphere silently, without warning, without message. Cities on the coast saw it first. The sky fire. It was beautiful and terrifying. People stood on rooftops filming with their devices. Children pointed, and then everything went dark. Power grids failed. Satellites vanished. Communications died within minutes. In orbit, the invaders began to spread. They were called the Karun, a race that traveled from world to world, draining life energy to feed their machines. To them, planets were nothing more than harvest fields. Their ships floated above Earth's major cities: New York, Tokyo, Cairo, Karachi, and London. Their shape was unnatural, part ship, part creature. Pulsing veins of blue energy ran along their surfaces like veins of some mechanical beast. The world governments tried to respond. Missiles were launched. Fighter jets scrambled. But nothing worked. Every weapon fired vanished in a burst of light before reaching the ships. Within hours, the Karun began their harvest. Massive beams of white light fell from the ships, scanning everything alive. Humans, animals, plants, all were cataloged and drained of energy. Millions fell unconscious. Cities went silent. Then, as quickly as they came, the beams stopped. The ships hovered, watching, waiting. It was as if they were listening to something. Deep inside the planet, thousands of miles away in a lonely desert, Dr. Mira Voss sat inside a small research tent. She was a historian and archaeologist studying pre-human civilizations. Her scanners had been silent for months, until tonight. A tremor shook the ground. The sand under her table began to ripple like water. Her instruments started to beep uncontrollably. Mira frowned and checked the readings. It made no sense. "This can't be right," she whispered. "There's a heartbeat. Underground?" She turned on her recorder. Day 317 of the dig. Ground sensors just detected rhythmic pulses from below the surface. Not geological, organic, but too large, far too large. Outside, the wind howled. The stars above her tent flickered as the sky turned crimson. She stepped outside and froze. A massive shadow passed across the desert. One of the Karun ships hovered above her camp. Its engines hummed like thunder, vibrating the air. The sand began to glow faintly blue, forming strange circular patterns. Mira stumbled back. The patterns looked familiar. She had seen them carved on ancient stones she once found in Egypt. Symbols that meant protectors of flesh. Suddenly, the ground beneath her cracked. A blinding light burst upward, throwing sand and rock high into the air. Mira fell to the ground, covering her head. The roar was deafening, a sound like mountains breaking apart. When the dust settled, she slowly lifted her eyes and gasped. Before her stood a colossal stone figure, half buried in the desert. It was humanoid, tall as a skyscraper, its surface carved with ancient markings that glowed faint blue. Pieces of its armor were fused with crystal and its chest pulsed like a living heart. Mira whispered, trembling, "No. It can't be real." The figure's eyes opened. Two massive blue lights shone from its face, cutting through the dust storm. The air around it vibrated. She felt pressure in her chest as if the earth itself was breathing. Then it spoke. "The balance has been broken." The voice was deep, ancient, and filled with sadness. It wasn't speaking any known language, yet Mira understood every word. It echoed in her mind more than her ears. Humanity must rise. Again! Before she could react, the ground erupted again. The Karun ship above her fired a plasma beam straight at the figure. The desert exploded in flames. Mira screamed, but the figure lifted its hand and the fire stopped mid-air. The beam froze like light trapped in glass. Then, with a slow motion, the Guardian turned the beam back toward the ship. The energy twisted and shot upward, striking the Karun directly. The alien ship broke apart in a brilliant explosion, scattering debris across the sky. The desert fell silent again. Only the wind spoke, whispering between the dunes. Mira stood up, shaking. Her voice trembled. Who Who are you? The guardian looked down at her, eyes glowing brighter. I am the first of 12. The earth remembers. Even when mankind forgets, Mira's heart raced. 12? 12 of these beings hidden beneath the world for centuries, waiting for something. The guardian slowly knelt, pressing its massive hand into the sand. The ground glowed again, showing faint outlines spreading toward the horizon, as if something deep underground was awakening, answering its call. The others sleep, the guardian said. You must awaken them, before the darkness consumes the sky. Before Mira could speak again, her radio crackled. A miracle, since all communications had been dead since the invasion began. A voice came through, panicked and broken by static. This is Earth Command. We're picking up seismic activity worldwide. What's happening down there, Dr. Voss? Mira looked up at the sky. Dozens more alien ships were descending through the clouds. She turned back toward the Guardian, whose eyes now glowed like twin stars. They came to harvest Earth, it said. But they have awakened its ancient protectors. The wind rose again. Sand spun into a storm around them. The Guardian's body began to move fully now, pulling itself from the desert floor. Massive chunks of rock and metal fell as it stood tall, its shadow stretching for miles. The Karun ships above began to charge their weapons again. And for the first time in centuries, the Earth itself responded, a deep, low sound like the heartbeat of the planet. Mira watched, her breath caught in awe and fear. The war for humanity had just begun. But this time, Earth was not alone. The desert was silent again, except for the deep hum coming from the giant that had awakened. Dr. Mira Voss stood frozen, her heart pounding. The air was thick with energy. Her equipment sparked and shut down. Even the wind seemed afraid to move. The colossal stone figure, the Guardian, towered above her camp. Its body was made of a strange mix of metal, rock, and crystal. Glowing lines of blue energy ran along its arms and chest, like rivers of light beneath its armor. Each movement it made shook the ground. Mira whispered, "You're real. All those legends, all those myths. You're real." The Guardian turned its glowing eyes toward her. Its voice was deep, calm, and filled with power. "We were made to protect this world. When the sky burns and the stars fall, we rise again. But this time the enemy comes too soon." The words echoed in her head like thunder. Mira stepped closer, amazed and terrified. "Enemy? You mean the ships? The ones in the sky?" The Guardian's head tilted slightly. "They are the Karun, star harvesters. They feed on the breath of living worlds. We fought them once, long ago." Mira's eyes widened. "Long ago, you mean before humans?" The Guardian looked toward the stars, its blue light flickering. "Before your kind walked upright. Before your oceans had names." Mira felt a chill run down her spine. She tried to understand. Then why now? Why return after all this time? "Because," the Guardian said, "they have come again, and the balance must be restored." Above them, thunder cracked as one of the alien ships descended lower. Its surface glowed red, energy building for another strike. The ground trembled. The Guardian raised its arm. "Stay behind me," the ship fired. A massive beam of plasma shot downward, bright enough to blind. But before it could hit, the Guardian slammed its hand into the sand. The desert exploded upward, forming a wall of dust and glowing rock that absorbed the beam completely. Mira shielded her face, watching in awe. When the light faded, the ship hovered, damaged. The Guardian's eyes flared brighter. "The Earth remembers," it said softly. "Even when her children forget." It raised both arms this time, and from the desert floor spires of stone erupted, sharp as swords, impaling the alien craft. The ship exploded in flames, scattering debris across the night sky. The sound rolled like thunder across the dunes. Mira fell to her knees, speechless. The Guardian turned to her once more. "There are more, many more. I can sense their corruption spreading. The others must wake, or this world will fall again." She looked up. "Others? You mean there are more like you?" 12, scattered across the world, each tied to the breath of the planet, mountain, sea, sky, and flame. They sleep beneath your cities, your oceans, your forests. Mira's mind raced. For years she had followed myths about the first ones, gods or giants said to defend humanity in ancient times. Everyone laughed at her theories. But now one of them stood before her. "How can I wake them?" she asked. The Guardian's eyes dimmed slightly. "You cannot do it alone. The Earth will guide you. Seek the places where the air hums and the ground trembles. There the others dream. Mira nodded, even though fear gripped her heart. I'll find them. I'll wake them. The Guardian's gaze softened, almost human. You carry the mark of the old blood. That is why you hear me. That is why you must lead. Before she could ask what it meant, her radio crackled again, louder this time. Thousands of miles away, humanity was breaking apart. The United Earth Defense Command had lost contact with half the planet. Cities burned under alien harvest beams, but everywhere people began to whisper the same story. Giants made of stone rising from the ground, fighting the invaders. In bunkers and shelters, people replayed shaky videos of the Guardian in the desert, turning an alien ship into dust. For the first time since the invasion began, hope flickered. Commander Reyes sat inside a hidden base under the ruins of London. Screens showed world maps dotted with red and blue signals. Blue meant energy spikes, possible guardians. He turned to his officers. Someone out there is waking these things. Find her. Back in the mountains, Mira followed the crystal's pull to a valley filled with fog. Old temple ruins stood there, half buried in stone. As she stepped inside, the air grew colder. Ancient carvings lined the walls, humanoid figures holding the planet in their hands. Her flashlight flickered. The ground trembled once. Then again, Mira whispered, "It's here." The crystal glowed bright blue. A deep sound like a drumbeat echoed through the cavern. The floor cracked open, releasing waves of blue mist. From beneath the rock rose a third guardian, its body covered in silver armor, eyes burning with golden light. This one was different. It moved like a warrior ready for battle. When it spoke, its voice was sharper, almost angry. "Who wakes me from the long sleep?" Mira stepped forward. "Humanity needs you. The Karun are back." The Guardian tilted its head. "The Star Eaters survived. Then our rest was in vain." It looked toward the sky where alien ships glowed faintly through the clouds. The Earth cries, "We must answer." Without warning, it raised one arm and hundreds of stone spears shot from the valley floor, piercing the air. They flew upward, turning into pure energy, and struck a Karun scout ship. The explosion lit the sky. Mira covered her face. "You can fight them." The Guardian looked down. "We can. But your kind once feared us. Will they still?" She hesitated. "Maybe. But right now fear doesn't matter. Survival does." The Guardian nodded slowly. "Then humanity will learn again to stand beside its makers." In orbit, the Karun fleet trembled under the new resistance. Their bioships roared like beasts. Inside the command vessel, the Supreme Harvester watched as blue energy flared across the planet's surface. "3 Guardians awake," it hissed. "Begin planetary cleansing. Release the biolords." Below the clouds, dark pods rained down. They split open to reveal tall, twisted creatures of flesh and metal, the biolords, living weapons designed to spread corruption. They landed across continents, consuming everything they touched. Mira drove toward a ruined military base, trying to reach Commander Reyes. Static screamed through her radio until a voice finally broke through. "Dr. Voss, you're alive!" "We have visual confirmation. Multiple Guardians are active." "Yes," she shouted, "but something worse just landed. They're spreading biological corruption. They called them biolords." Reyes cursed under his breath. "Then we fight with what we have. Get to Cairo. There's another energy surge there." Mira turned the rover south. Hours later, she saw the city on the horizon, a skeleton of steel and sand. The Karun hovered above it, their beams draining the last bits of power. The crystal in her hand burned bright blue. She could feel the ground vibrating. Something beneath Cairo was moving. She parked near the ruins of the Great Pyramid. The air was thick with dust and energy. The moment she stepped out, the earth cracked open. From beneath the ancient stones rose the 4th Guardian, enormous and radiant. Its armor was gold, its body engraved with ancient hieroglyphs that glowed like fire. When it opened its eyes, the entire sky lit up. The Karun ships turned their beams toward it. Mira hid behind a fallen pillar as explosions rocked the desert. But the Guardian didn't fall. Instead, it raised both hands and golden light erupted upward, forming a shield that covered the entire city. Inside the energy dome, everything went silent, the calm before a storm. The Guardian's voice rolled through the air like thunder. "The children of Earth have called and we have answered. Let the old war begin again." Then one by one other blue lights appeared on the horizon, Mountains splitting open, oceans glowing from beneath, forests shaking. The rest of the Guardians were awakening. In London, Commander Reyes watched the readings spike. His officers cheered for the first time in weeks. "Sir, multiple awakenings worldwide. They're defending us!" Reyes leaned forward. "Then we stand with them. Prepare every surviving ship and soldier. Humanity fights with the Guardians now." Meanwhile, above Earth, the Karun commander slammed its claws into the control sphere. "The old ones rise again," it growled. "They cannot be allowed to unite. Destroy their heart before it beats." Deep under the Pacific Ocean, something stirred, the faint throb of a massive pulse. The Heart Guardian was beginning to wake. Mira stood beside the Golden Guardian of Cairo, looking up at the glowing sky. Everywhere the world trembled, mountains breaking, oceans boiling, clouds swirling in light. Humanity had been powerless only days ago. Now Earth itself was fighting back. "They're coming," the Guardian said quietly. "All of them." Mira clenched her fists. "Then let them come. We're not the same humans they remember." Lightning ripped across the horizon as the Karun fleet descended for all-out war. The Guardians stood like giants of stone and light, ready. And far beneath the ocean, the first heartbeat of the final Guardian echoed. Slow, powerful, ancient. The war for Earth had reached its turning point. The rise of the old ones had begun. The world had changed. In less than a week, Earth had become a battlefield of gods and monsters. Everywhere the Guardians rose, titans of light and stone, while the Karun unleashed their biolords to twist and corrupt the land. The sky burned day and night. Cities glowed under alien fire, while oceans steamed from falling debris. But through it all, humanity refused to surrender. Dr. Mira Voss stood beside the Golden Guardian of Cairo, watching it heal the wounded with a wave of golden energy. Thousands of survivors had gathered inside the protective dome. Children stared in awe. Soldiers knelt. Mira looked at the Guardian. "You protect us. But why now? Why not before?" The giant's eyes burned with calm light. "Because you were not ready. Long ago, when we fought beside your ancestors, humanity turned its strength against itself. The old ones swore to sleep until you learned unity." She lowered her head. "Then we failed." "Not this time," the Guardian said softly. "The heart of your world beats again. You have awakened us because your spirit has changed." Before she could answer, the sky cracked open. A biolord dreadnought, 3 times larger than any Guardian, descended like a falling moon. Its body was covered in black tendrils, its mouth a furnace of living fire. Every step it took melted the sand into glass. Panic spread through the camp. Soldiers fired uselessly at the monster. The Golden Guardian turned its head. "Stand behind me." It raised both arms, summoning golden light that collided with the dreadnought's red plasma. The explosion blinded everyone for miles. When the dust cleared, both giants were still standing. The dreadnought roared, slamming its fists into the Guardian's chest. Golden shards scattered across the desert. Mira ran to a communications terminal and shouted into the mic. "Commander Reyes, we have contact. The biolord dreadnought is here, the Guardians engaged." Reyes' voice crackled through static. "Hold your ground. Reinforcements are on the way. 2 Guardians approaching from the Mediterranean front." Above the atmosphere, the Karun command ship watched with cold eyes. The Supreme Harvester leaned closer to the glowing sphere that showed Earth's surface. "The Heart Guardian must not awaken," it hissed. "If it rises, all will be lost." The alien turned to its generals. "Release the core blight." Dark pods launched from orbit, falling like meteors into the oceans. When they struck, the sea began to boil, black clouds of corruption spreading through the water. Under the Pacific, deep within the Earth's crust, the Heart Guardian stirred. It sensed the poison, the spreading infection. Its pulse grew louder, thum, thum, thum. Each beat sent waves of blue light across the ocean floor. Creatures fled. Volcanoes trembled. The world was waking up. Back in Cairo, the fight raged. The dreadnought crushed ancient ruins beneath its feet. The Golden Guardian fell to one knee. Its voice echoed inside Mira's mind. "Dr. Voss, take the crystal. To the east. You must find the source tower. Only there can we link with the Heart Guardian." She hesitated. "You'll die if I leave." "Then I will die buying you time. Go now, child of Earth." Tears filled her eyes, but she turned and ran. As she did, the Guardian let out a deep roar, summoning all its remaining power. A beam of gold light erupted from its core, striking the dreadnought straight in the chest. Both giants exploded in a blinding flash that turned night into day. Mira was thrown backward by the shockwave. When she opened her eyes, the Guardian was gone. Only molten glass remained. "You kept your promise," she whispered. She drove east through burning sands. Her radio was full of panic, reports of new biolords appearing across Europe and Asia, but also new Guardians awakening to fight them. Humanity was no longer running. As she neared the source tower, she saw what the Guardian meant: a massive structure buried beneath an old power plant. The ground around it pulsed blue. It wasn't built by humans. One evening, Mira stood on a space station orbiting Earth, watching the blue glow below. Commander Reyes, now older, joined her. "Hard to believe, huh? We almost lost it all." She nodded, smiling softly. "Maybe we had to lose everything first, to remember what we were." A transmission alert blinked, a faint signal coming from deep space, beyond the solar system. "Not Karun, not Architect," Reyes grinned. "Looks like someone's knocking again." Mira looked out the window at the endless stars. "Then we'll answer. But this time on our own terms." The Heart Guardian's pulse echoed faintly through space, unsteady, calm, eternal. The story of humanity had begun with fear. It ended with freedom. And far beyond the stars, the architects watched, silent, smiling. The children of Earth had finally come of age. "Dr. Voss, are you there? The whole world's going crazy. Earthquakes everywhere, magnetic storms, and what's happening." She pressed the mic. "Listen to me carefully. They're not natural disasters. Something ancient is waking up, and we need to help it." But before she could finish, static screamed through the radio. Then a new voice cut in, not human. "Human signal detected. Coordinates locked." Her eyes widened. "No, they're tracking me." High above, 3 smaller Karun ships appeared, circling like predators. They were faster, sleeker, built for hunting. The Guardian turned its gaze upward. Its hands began to glow again. "Run," it said. "What about you?" "I will hold them." Mira hesitated only a moment before grabbing her data drive and sprinting toward her rover. The engines roared to life. As she drove, she looked back, and what she saw burned into her mind forever. The Guardian raised both arms, drawing power from the ground. The entire desert lit up like dawn. Sand turned to glass under his feet as he unleashed a wave of energy. It struck the ships midair, bending them like paper. They fell, crashing in flames. But something strange happened. When the Guardian released the power, its body cracked. Pieces of stone and metal broke off, glowing red at the edges. It was hurting itself to fight. Mira stopped her vehicle, torn. She wanted to go back. But before she could, the Guardian spoke again, its voice echoing in her mind. "Go, child of Earth, find the others. Tell them the first war has begun again." Then, with a final burst of light, the Guardian sank back into the sand, its body turning still once more. The ground sealed over it, leaving nothing but silence. Mira sat in the rover, her hands shaking. Tears filled her eyes. She whispered, "I'll find them. I promise." Far above in orbit, the Karun command ship watched everything. Inside, dark figures floated in tanks filled with blue light. One of them opened its many eyes. "The old machines still live," it hissed. "Prepare the harvesters. Erase this world completely." Earth's fate was now sealed, unless the other Guardians could awaken in time. The screen in Mira's rover flickered again, showing breaking news. Every continent was experiencing strange tremors. In the oceans, glowing shapes moved beneath the waves. Mountains in Asia were cracking open, releasing blue mist. Mira whispered to herself, "They're waking up." She pressed the accelerator, speeding into the desert night. Behind her, the horizon glowed with faint blue light, the pulse of something ancient and alive. The war for humanity had only just begun, and this time the Earth itself would fight back. For 3 days, Dr. Mira Voss drove through endless sand. The sun burned above her, and the world behind her kept dying. Every few hours she saw another explosion on the horizon, another city gone. The sky no longer looked blue. It was filled with the silent shadows of the Karun fleet. Her rover's power cell was almost empty when she reached a small, abandoned research outpost on the edge of the Sahara. The air smelled of smoke and dust. She climbed onto the roof, raised her binoculars, and saw the same horror repeating again and again. Ships hovering over towns, lowering white beams, draining life. she whispered to herself. They're harvesting us, just like the Guardian said. Inside the outpost, she turned on a dying computer and connected her portable scanner. It still held the Guardian's energy pattern. The screen glowed weakly, showing 12 points of light scattered across the globe. Sleeping Guardians. One in the Himalayas, one deep in the Pacific, one under the ruins of Cairo, and another somewhere beneath the frozen lands of Antarctica. Mira stared at the map. 12, she said softly. 12 chances to save us. She uploaded the coordinates to a small transmitter and sent them to every open Earth frequency. Maybe someone was still listening. Then the radio crackled again. This time a real human voice. This is Commander Reyes of the Orbital Defense Force. Who is this? Identify yourself. Mira grabbed the mic. Dr. Mira Voss, civilian scientist. I found something ancient that can fight them. There was a long pause. We've seen it, Reyes said finally. Satellite feed from North Africa. A giant structure rising from the desert. What is it? It's called a Guardian, she answered. There are more, 12 of them. We have to wake them before it's too late. Then we're on the same side, the commander said. We'll extract you at dawn. Mira looked outside. Dawn was still hours away, and something in the air felt wrong. The ground trembled. Sand poured from the cracks in the outpost floor. She stepped outside and saw the stars disappearing behind a dark wave of smoke. The Karun had found her again. 3 hunter drones descended like metallic insects, scanning the ruins. Red light swept across the ground. Not again, she whispered. She ran for the rover, but before she reached it, a sudden quake threw her to the ground. From deep below, a rumbling sound rose, a slow, steady pulse like the beating of a giant heart. The drones froze midair. Their scanners flickered. Then the sand exploded. A giant hand of black stone burst from the ground, smashing one of the drones into pieces. Another hand followed, then a head, its surface rough, covered in glowing green runes. The second Guardian had awakened. It was smaller than the first, about 30 meters tall, and its design was different, sleeker, sharper, built like a warrior. When it stood, lightning crawled over its surface, dancing from rune to rune. Mira backed away in awe. Another one. You're real too. The Guardian turned its head toward her, eyes blazing emerald. Its voice rumbled like thunder trapped in a cave. The signal has reached me. The first has risen. The war begins anew. The remaining drones fired at it, but bolts of green light deflected their shots like pebbles against armor. The Guardian raised a fist, and a shockwave rippled outward, flattening the sand dunes for miles. Mira fell to her knees as the blast passed over her. The Guardian turned its gaze down, studying her carefully. You carry the echo of our maker, it said. Then help me, she pleaded. Help humanity. They're dying everywhere. The Guardian's voice grew softer. We will help, but not all will wake willingly. Some remember the betrayal of mankind. Betrayal? Mira asked, confused. Long ago, the Guardian said, humans turned against their protectors. They feared our power and sealed us beneath the earth. Now only those pure of heart can wake the rest. Before Mira could reply, her radio came alive again. Commander Reyes's voice panicked. Dr. Voss, we're picking up massive energy spikes near your position. What the hell is happening down there? She looked at the towering figure before her and smiled through tears. Hope, she said. Hope is waking up. Above them, the sky tore open again as the Karun mothership began to move. A massive beam of orange light spread across the atmosphere, heating the air. It was preparing to cleanse the entire region. The Guardian looked upward. They wish to erase the memory of Earth. We must stop them. But how? Mira asked. By awakening the heart. The Guardian pointed east, where a line of mountains glowed faintly under the storm clouds. The Heart Guardian sleeps there. It can connect all of us. Without it, we are scattered. Mira turned toward the horizon. Then that's where I'm going. Before she could take a step, the Guardian reached out and touched the ground with its hand. A piece of its armor broke away and shrank, folding itself into a glowing crystal sphere the size of Mira's palm. Take this. It will guide you to the next one. When it shines red, the enemy is near. When it shines blue, a Guardian stirs. She took it carefully, feeling warmth pulse through her fingers. Thank you. The Guardian's eyes dimmed as it stepped back, blending again into the dunes. Go, child of Earth. The Karun are coming. As Mira ran toward her rover, the sky erupted behind her. The mothership fired, turning the desert into a sea of light. The shockwave chased her, ripping the ground apart. She barely reached the rover and hit the accelerator. Through the mirror, she saw the Guardian raise its arms once more. It caught the beam with both hands, holding it back. For a brief moment, it stood like a god of stone and lightning against the fire of the stars. Then the explosion consumed everything. When Mira finally opened her eyes again, she was miles away. The desert behind her was nothing but glass. The second Guardian was gone, but its sacrifice had bought her time. She held the crystal sphere close to her heart. It glowed faint blue. "I'll find the heart," she whispered. "I'll wake them all." In orbit, the Karun commander watched the blast fade. A deep, inhuman voice echoed across their ship. "2 Guardians active. The planet remembers faster than expected." "Then we will remind it what fear is," another hissed. "Release the biolords." And far below, across the oceans and mountains, tremors began once more. The Guardians were stirring. The war had only just begun. Dr. Mira Voss had not slept for 2 days. Her rover tore across the cracked highways of northern Africa, guided only by the faint blue glow of the crystal sphere. Every few hours the sky shook as another Karun ship descended. The air itself felt heavy, charged with war. She stopped on a mountain ridge and looked back. The desert she'd left behind was gone, a sheet of glass stretching to the horizon. The second Guardian had sacrificed itself there. Mira pressed the crystal to her chest. "I'll wake the others," she whispered. In the deserts of Africa, the Golden Guardian had taken root among the ruins of Cairo. People came to it like pilgrims, leaving offerings, flowers, even children's drawings at its feet. They called it the Keeper of Hope. Sometimes at night its eyes flickered, not in battle mode but in peace. It was learning something new, to simply exist beside humans, not above them. In London, Commander Reyes sat inside the restored Global Defense HQ. The walls were cracked. The tech was old, but the screens flickered again. Every major city had sent messages of unity. No more borders, no more rival commands. Reyes smiled tiredly. "Took an alien invasion to make us one world," he said. His second-in-command nodded. "Sir, reconstruction's moving fast. The Guardians are helping, lifting debris, reshaping land. It's like the planet's healing itself." Reyes looked out the window. "We heal, yes. But we must never forget how close we came to extinction." He turned to a quiet screen. In the corner, a feed from the Deep Space Array. It showed the black of space beyond the moon, empty, peaceful, for now. Meanwhile, in Japan, Mira worked with scientists and soldiers to study the Source Tower, the alien ancient structure that had connected humanity to the Heart Guardian. The place was alive, humming gently like a giant heart made of light and stone. They couldn't destroy it. They couldn't move it. It had become part of the planet. Mira and her team discovered something astonishing. The tower was sending signals. Not random noise, but a pattern. A language. "It's repeating coordinates," she said during a meeting with Reyes. "Not inside the solar system. Far beyond." Reyes frowned. "Are you saying it's calling someone?" She nodded slowly. "Or answering someone." The room went silent. That night Mira stood alone outside the tower. The air was cold and the stars above were brighter than she'd ever seen. The Guardians stood on the horizon, silent silhouettes under the moonlight. The tower pulsed again. Blue beams of energy shot upward, vanishing into space. Her earpiece crackled. Static, then a voice she didn't recognize. "Dr. Voss, is that you?" She froze. "Who is this?" "Name's Captain Ree. Deep Voyager Station Lagrange Point 2. We just picked up something strange, an echo coming from beyond our solar system. It's replying to your signal." "Replying?" "Yes, ma'am. And you're not going to believe this, Unger, it's human." Mira's breath caught. "That's impossible. No one survived beyond Mars during the collapse." "Then explain this," Ree said. "They're broadcasting an old Earth code, 300 years old." The line went dead. At that same moment, the Guardians turned their heads to the stars. Every single one of them, as if hearing the same whisper in the void. Mira felt it too. A cold pulse through her bones like a voice speaking inside her mind. "We remember the stars, and they remember us. It wasn't human. It wasn't alien either. It was the Heart Guardian. Something stirs beyond the black," it continued. "Something that knows our name," Mira whispered. "Another invasion?" "Not invasion. Return." The Guardian's voice faded, but the message stayed. "Return. Days passed. The signal grew stronger. Across the world, telescopes began to detect faint shapes moving near the edge of the system. Not Karun ships, not human craft either. Something ancient, familiar. In the command center, Reyes stared at the data. They're coming from the direction of Vega. Estimated arrival. 2 months. Mira felt a chill down her spine. The stars remember us, she whispered. But what if they don't remember kindly? That night she dreamed of fire and light. She saw Earth from space, wrapped in blue veins of power. Beyond it, something enormous drifted closer, glowing gold and silver, shaped almost like a guardian, but larger, older. When she woke, her hands were trembling. The guardians outside were already turning their faces to the sky again. The Heart Guardian's voice whispered one last time, deeper than thunder, softer than wind. We were not the first. And we will not be the last. Mira looked up, heart pounding. Then who built you? The voice didn't answer. Only the ocean glowed brighter, and the stars pulsed. Once, twice. As if something vast and alive was on its way home. On the dark side of the moon, long dead satellites suddenly powered on. Their lenses turned toward the outer system where a faint light approached. Steady, rhythmic, deliberate. A heartbeat in the void. Humanity was safe for now. But the next chapter of Earth's destiny was already moving closer, one silent pulse at a time. The stars remembered, and soon they would return. 2 months after the war ended, the stars moved again. At first, it was only faint lights beyond Pluto, distant, harmless. But then the lights multiplied, forming shapes that no telescope could fully capture. Something enormous was entering the solar system. Dr. Mira Voss stood at the edge of the Pacific Light Sea, her reflection glowing blue in the water. Behind her, the Guardians waited, silent, towering, ancient. They all faced the same direction, the sky, she whispered. They're here, aren't they? The Golden Guardian's eyes flared softly. Yes, the Makers return. Mira's breath caught. The ones who created you? Created. And abandoned. They shaped us when Earth was still young, then vanished into the dark. We believed them lost, but the stars remember. Far above, every satellite on Earth flickered alive. The Global Defense Command's radar screens glowed with hundreds of contacts. But these weren't like the Karun. They didn't arrive in fleets. They formed constellations. Commander Reyes stared at the data. They're not attacking. Just watching. One of his officers turned pale. Sir, we're receiving a transmission, a visual form. Reyes hesitated. Put it through. The screen filled with light. Not a face, a shape like a living sun wrapped in energy. A voice spoke, calm, echoing through every device on Earth. Children of Earth, you have awakened the old ones and defended your cradle. We have returned to witness what you have become. Mira heard it too through her earpiece. The voice wasn't angry. It was curious, ancient. She asked quietly, who are you? We are the architects, the firstborn of the void. We planted the seeds of the Guardians to protect your world until you could stand among the stars. The Guardians bowed their heads. The Golden Guardian spoke aloud. Makers, and we fulfilled your command. We defended the seed. The architect's voice softened. And you have done well. Yet we sense imbalance. The world bleeds from war. The Karun's corruption lingers. You are strong, but divided still. Mira stepped forward, defiant. We fought, we bled. We stood with your Guardians. Doesn't that prove we've earned the right to live, to choose our own path? There was silence. Then the sky itself shimmered. Dozens of colossal silver shapes appeared in orbit, vessels the size of continents glowing with pure white light. Perhaps, the voice replied, but the test is not over. On every continent, the Guardians froze. Their eyes dimmed. Their bodies trembled. The link between them and the Heart Guardian began to fade. Mira shouted, "What are you doing?" "We are measuring the truth of your unity. If you are worthy, your world will ascend. If not, it will sleep again." The Heart Guardian's voice rumbled from beneath the waves. "Makers, do not punish them. They are not like before. They have changed." But the architects did not answer. Instead, pillars of light struck the ground across the globe. The light solidified into crystalline beings, smaller versions of the architects themselves. One landed before Mira. Its form shimmered like glass. "Show us your choice, child of Earth," it said. "Will you rise by surrendering to us, or rise by standing alone?" Mira's mind raced. If they surrendered, Earth would survive, but under control. If they refused, the architects could destroy everything. She looked at the Guardians, motionless and silent. Then at the survivors around her, engineers, soldiers, children. They had rebuilt cities from ashes. They had learned to fight together. Humanity wasn't a seed anymore. She took a deep breath. "We'll stand alone," the crystal figure tilted its head. "You defy your makers?" "No," she said firmly. "We thank you. But Earth belongs to us now. You gave us guardians to protect this world, not to rule it. We are ready to protect it ourselves." The being glowed brighter, then faded. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then the architect's voice returned, softer this time, almost proud. "So be it, the seed has bloomed. The light pillars dissolved." The Guardians came back to life, their eyes blazing once more. Above, the massive architect's ships began to rise, drifting beyond the moon. The Golden Guardian turned toward Mira. "You spoke for all of Earth. You made them see." She smiled faintly. "No. Humanity finally spoke for itself." The Guardian looked up. "They will return one day, not as masters, but as kin. Until then, the Earth is yours to shape." High above the planet, one of the architect's ships paused before vanishing into the void. Its voice whispered into the Heart Guardian's mind. "Watch them well. Guide them. When they reach the stars, we will meet again." The Heart Guardian's pulse echoed an answer. "They will be ready." Years passed. Earth healed. Forests grew where cities once burned. The Guardians became part of daily life, silent protectors watching over the reborn world. Humanity spread again, this time not for conquest, but for connection. They built ships powered by the heart's energy. They reached the moon, then Mars. And in every new colony, a phrase was carved on the walls. The words Mira spoke on that final day: "We will stand alone, together." Mira stepped inside. The walls were covered in glowing veins of energy. At the center stood a floating platform surrounded by symbols she couldn't understand. The crystal in her hand vibrated, glowing brighter with each step. "Come on," she whispered. "Show me what to do." When she placed the crystal into the center slot, the entire tower lit up. Energy surged through the walls, shooting upward into the clouds. Across the planet, every Guardian turned its head toward the signal. The Heart Guardian stirred once more, this time faster. Commander Reyes received the readings instantly. "Massive energy surge from North Africa. Looks like Dr. Voss did it." His officer frowned. "Sir, the Karun fleet is changing formation. They're moving everything toward that signal." Reyes clenched his jaw. "They know. The Heart Guardian's their real target." In orbit, the Supreme Harvester hissed as its ships locked onto the Source Tower's coordinates. "The seed of Earth must never awaken. Fire the planetary annihilator." Below, the clouds turned red as a gigantic beam began charging. Mira looked up, shielding her eyes. "Oh no, they're going to destroy it." Then from the horizon, two shadows moved, massive and glowing. The Stone Guardian of the Andes and the Ocean Guardian of the Mediterranean arrived, crossing the sky like comets. They formed a shield over the Source Tower, their energy merging into one brilliant dome. The alien beam hit and stopped. The Earth shook, but the shield held. Mira fell to her knees, staring at the impossible sight. "They're protecting it." The sky turned blue again. The beam faded. And from the depths of the ocean came a voice, deep, calm, and ancient. "The heart wakes." Far beneath the surface, the Heart Guardian opened its eyes for the first time in millennia. Its body was made of crystal and living stone, its pulse syncing with the planet itself. Every Guardian across Earth froze, listening. The Heart Guardian spoke a single word: unite. The ground across continents glowed with blue lines connecting mountains, rivers, and cities. Humanity's machines began to power up. Weapons, drones, and satellites all responding to the same call. Dr. Mira Voss stood trembling, watching the light spread across the world. "We just connected the planet." Above her, the Karun fleet began to panic. Their sensors went dark. The Earth itself had come alive. The judgment of flesh had begun, and humanity was no longer prey. The world glowed blue. From the highest mountains to the deepest trenches of the ocean, rivers of light flowed like veins through the Earth. The Guardians stood still, their eyes blazing with new power, their energy pulsing in rhythm with the planet. For the first time in millennia, Earth was awake. The Heart Guardian, the largest and most ancient of them all, had opened its eyes beneath the Pacific. Its body was a living continent of crystal and stone. Each heartbeat sent waves of energy across the surface, connecting every guardian, every machine, and every human willing to fight. In the ruins of the Cairo base, Dr. Mira Voss stared at the sky in disbelief. Clouds swirled in spirals of blue and white. Lightning cracked in patterns like glowing runes. Her radio came alive with voices. "Dr. Voss, it's Reyes. We're seeing power surges everywhere. Our weapons are charging without fuel. Even our satellites are back online." She smiled weakly. "It's the heart. It's giving energy to everything on Earth." "Then this is our chance," Reyes said. "We hit them with everything we have." Far above, the Karun fleet shifted in chaos. Their scanners were blind, their energy unstable. The Supreme Harvester slammed its claws into the control sphere. "The planet resists." "Impossible." "It is merging organic and machine energy," another commander hissed. "Their world is alive, my lord. It's not just a planet, it's a weapon." The Harvester's eyes flared red. "Then we will cut out its heart." In the Pacific depths, the Heart Guardian spoke in a voice that shook the oceans. "Children of Earth, you are bound to me now. Flesh and spirit, iron and light. One purpose, one will." Across continents, soldiers and civilians felt something inside them awaken. Courage, clarity, and strength. They were no longer afraid. In London, Commander Reyes stood inside the war room. Every screen showed guardians across the world standing tall, from the Himalayas to the Amazon. He turned to his crew. "Transmit the battle code. Tell every survivor, we fight with the Guardians now." A roar of human voices echoed through the speakers. All over the world, armies began to rise from the ashes. In Africa, Mira watched as human fighter jets lifted off again, glowing with faint blue light, the heart's energy boosting their engines. She could hear the people cheering, shouting the same word again and again. "Guardians! Guardians!" Mira looked toward the east where the desert shimmered. Out of the sand rose a new figure, a guardian reborn. Its body was the same golden shape as the one that had fallen in Cairo, but its energy was brighter, its eyes deeper. You came back," Mira whispered. The guardian looked down at her. "We never die. We return through the Earth's memory. The heart remembers all who fought for it." Then it raised its hand, summoning a spear of light. "The enemy comes." From the sky, a storm of red fire rained down. The Karun fleet had regrouped. Thousands of ships descending together, surrounding Earth in a burning ring. Their leader's voice echoed through the atmosphere. "Your world cannot stand against the will of the stars. We are eternal." The Guardians answered as one. "And we are Earth." The ground split open as energy beams shot upward, striking the enemy ships. One after another, the invaders exploded in the upper atmosphere, scattering fire across the sky. The Heart Guardian's pulse grew stronger, faster. Each beat sent a shockwave that shattered alien shields. But the Supreme Harvester was not done. It unleashed its final weapon, the Void Lance, a spear of pure antimatter designed to pierce planets. It fired. The beam tore through the atmosphere, straight toward the Pacific. The ocean exploded upward in a wall of steam and light. The Heart Guardian took the hit head-on. For a moment, the world went silent. Mira fell to her knees. No, please." Commander Reyes' voice broke through the comms. "We lost the Pacific signal. The Heart Guardian, it's gone dark." The skies dimmed. The energy lines across the planet flickered. For the first time, Mira felt true fear. "If the heart dies, everything dies," she whispered. She looked at the Golden Guardian beside her. "Can we help it?" The giant's voice rumbled softly. "Perhaps. The heart feeds on the will of life. If humanity believes, it can rise again." Mira's eyes widened. "Then we'll make the whole world believe." She turned to the radio. "This is Dr. Voss." "The heart is wounded!" "Every living person. Pray, shout, hope, whatever you can do." "The Guardians hear you?" Across the planet, people stopped running. They looked to the sky, to the mountains, to the glowing lights that pulsed beneath their feet. From Africa to Asia, Europe to the Americas, billions of humans lifted their voices in one cry. "Earth lives!" The ground began to hum. Energy returned stronger than before. The ocean boiled again, but this time with light. From the depths, a massive silhouette rose. The Heart Guardian had returned, burning with blue and white fire. The antimatter wound in its chest closed as molten stone turned to crystal. It raised its arms to the heavens. Your faith mends me. Now watch your world fight. It sent a beam of energy straight into orbit, splitting the Karun fleet in half. Thousands of alien ships disintegrated instantly. The Supreme Harvester screamed, its armor melting. This cannot be. The Heart Guardian's voice rolled through the void. You came to take. We came to protect. That is the difference between stars and souls. With one final pulse, it unleashed the wave of unity, a surge that erased the remaining invaders from the sky. The clouds parted. The earth fell silent again. Mira stood, tears falling freely. It's over? The Golden Guardian looked at the horizon. Not yet. The heart is awake, but the universe is wide. Others will come. Mira nodded. Then we'll be ready next time. The Guardian turned to her. You, child of Earth, have done what even we could not. Remind your people of who they are. Above them the dawn broke, the first sunrise of a new age. The blue veins of light faded gently into the earth, but the world itself still shimmered with quiet power. The war for Earth was over. But the legend of humanity, and its forgotten guardians, had only just begun. A month had passed since the skies stopped burning. The oceans were calm again, the cities silent except for the hum of rebuilding. For the first time in years, Earth breathed. Dr. Mira Voss stood on a cliff overlooking the newly formed Pacific Light Sea, a glowing ring where the Heart Guardian had risen during the war. The water still shimmered faint blue at night, like the planet's heartbeat could be seen through the waves. She whispered, "You did it. We're alive." Behind her, campfires dotted the shore. Hundreds of survivors were rebuilding homes, sharing food, teaching children again. For the first time, laughter returned to Earth. But deep inside, Mira knew peace never lasted long in a universe that big. Far beneath the waves, the Heart Guardian rested again, but it was not asleep. Its core pulsed slowly, and each beat whispered through the minds of the other Guardians. They stood scattered across the planet like watchtowers of light, silent but awake, their eyes glowing softly as if keeping an endless vigil.